What's up, guys? I'm going to bring you back here in a second and show you some of these clamshell cylinders. Actually, this Stihl right here is not a clamshell, but I just want to use it to reference the exhaust variation on this little Stihl 011 exhaust. So as you know, me getting into porting, I've come a long way. About a year and a half solid with grinding away at a lot of Poulans and various other saws, mainly Poulans getting started. I just want to give a couple quick tips if you're looking to port your clamshell style chainsaw. A lot of your smaller displacement saws, even into your better saws, are going to be the same, which is a clamshell design. You can't really cut the base like you would on cylinders like this to tighten up your squish band, which is what you want, you know, to a certain degree. You don't want to get too tight, but you definitely want to tighten up the squish band to gain compression, right? Compression is king. Remember that, guys. So this is kind of where I went wrong on starting off on these clamshell engines. I was raising the RPM up on these things and making them zingers, just and you know, it's all on kind of what you want. Now, that's kind of the ticket for some of your dirt bike engines. That's maybe a whole nother video. But yeah, so I started with raising the exhaust roof up, and the thing is, when you're raising your exhaust roof, you're going to drop the compression down on this thing. So you definitely want to watch that. So what I recommend is you getting in there and taking the exhaust and just barely widening it up to start, guys. Just widen your exhaust. Just be safe, right, for your first time, especially if you're dealing with a Husky or Stihl or something like that, and you're saying, man, I'm going to try this. I'm going to put a new top end in it. I want to port and polish the exhaust and intake on this thing and get it to run better. 9 times out of 10, if you do it in small increments, do your research, make sure you're not going to snag any rings, line your piston up, check all that out, and just simply widen the exhaust just a little bit, get a good chamfer, and pretty much open your intake side up. I think 155 duration is what you're going to look for on the intake and exhaust to really get these saws woken up. Now these Poulans, they have such a lazy this is a Strato engine here, EPA garbage. Some people like them. Some people say you can make them just as powerful, which you probably can. A lot of people are scared on the intake side and don't do too much with it. I will honestly say I've went pretty aggressive here on this intake, and I want to say I want a little wider and maybe raise the roof a little bit. I'd have to go back and check, but I'm not 100% on that. My dad's running one right now that runs really well for being a Strato engine. I widened and just barely raised the exhaust roof. Kept the same contour, just took it a few thousandths up. You're going to lose compression doing that, though. So, yeah, you know, if I were to do it again, this is before I gained more and more knowledge doing this stuff. If I were to do it again, I'd leave that exhaust roof alone. There's a lot of things you got to watch for. Your angle, you want to kind of try to keep that angle. So if you're raising the exhaust, if you do go that route, maybe take something and bend to keep your angle in there, you know, a piece of solder or something, and just bend it, sneak it up in there and bend it and keep that stock contour. There's a lot of research and development on a lot of this stuff, guys, but you know, they only want it making so much power, right? So it's, you know, with especially your race engine stuff, you just don't go crazy on them. There's little minor tweaks, right? With these chainsaw especially Poulans, you probably are going to do a little more and can really wake them up. But big thing is, guys, leave that exhaust roof alone. A lot of people go straight for that, and I did when I first started. And boy, dude, some of this saws. I have a Poulan Wild Thing Strato 42cc, and it is a heck of a limmer. It just screams RPM. It does, and it's still holding together. But I learned more and more that, you know, that's dropping the compression. When you're pulling it, you can tell it dropped compression too. It still screams. But again, I suggest you get in there and just widen the exhaust just a little bit. That's what I did to this cylinder here. It's about done. I'm gonna bring you guys back here. Widen the exhaust, maybe lighten your piston up a little bit if you got some imperfections on the inside of the piston. And I do a lot of times open the transfers a little bit too up on these clamshells. I don't get too aggressive. But anyhow, let's come on back and take a look, guys. On the table here, we have a Poulan 260 cylinder. It's an aftermarket. Oh, I'm sorry. This is just a standard Strato 42cc cylinder. Good. That's why I wanted this out. I want to show you how lazy the exhaust is on here. So if you take a look, I'm going to try to angle this right on these clamshells. Look at the size of that exhaust. And this here is a non-Strato, a Poulan Wild Thing port job I'm doing for one of my buddies. He's actually going to buy this saw off of him. I said, well, you want a cheap saw, something that runs pretty decent? So look at the difference, okay? Just on the exhaust. And if you look back there, you can see where I did a little lung, whatever you want to call it, on the intake side. So real quick, in my left hand is the older non-Strato Poulan engine. Look how more aggressive that exhaust aeration is in comparison to the Strato Poulan engines. I did nothing to raise the exhaust on this. I just widened the exhaust. But basically, you don't gotta go crazy, but just open it up a little bit. Widen the exhaust a little bit. I only go about 1 millimeter or so and angle it out on the exhaust, and we'll compare the lazy port timing on that exhaust. Now obviously this is not a clamshell engine on this Stihl. This was off an 011. I got a couple of these back here on the shelf, just parts ones. Look how aggressive the exhaust is on that. I mean, you know, the magic number is probably for a saw is like 155 for the intake and exhaust aeration, from what I read. Obviously, I haven't ported enough. I've ported a ton of these Poulans, Stratos. I've actually have a couple Stratos that were really awesome turnouts. I got one my father runs, and one I donated to my cousin, and he says, man, that thing's snappy. But anyway, I just wanted to show a little example of just how aggressive Stihl's port timing numbers. Like there you look, boom. Look at that. So, yep, so I got to finish this up, this saw here yet, guys. I think I am getting the exhaust looking pretty good. I still need to hit it a few times. Let's see if I can get this. There's a look at the exhaust. Looking pretty good, huh? And there's the intake. Like I say, I lunged it out. And he's probably gonna like how this thing runs. I'll try to make a video of this. But you know, so clamshells, guys, basically the big thing with clamshells is what I found out. I've got cylinders back here that I've taken the exhaust roof up way too far, over 160. They ran. It was just a real peaky saw. So if you raise the exhaust roof up, you know, let's say you're at 140 and you raised it to 155, even on a clamshell, like the magic number. Well, guess what? You're going to drop your compression big time, guys. So, as we all know, compression is king. So, you definitely don't want to take these exhaust roofs up, in my opinion, on these clamshells. This is what I've come to find out. I got a 295, or excuse me, my 295, as I'm going to show you in the video here, hung right with a 250 Stihl, and I know my chain was not near as sharp as the Stihl. I just kind of went over it quick. I kind of rushed those videos in. I'm sorry, I'm a little busy right now currently, but I thought, man, we gotta put another video out and just give some people some thoughts on this stuff. So raising the exhaust roof is going to drop the compression. You know, machining these is just not very applicable for these clamshell styles. I'm sure there's ways it could be done, but for the average Joe, not going to happen. Just flat out not going to happen. So widen that exhaust roof up on these Poulans a little bit, and open up your intake duration. You know, around 50, I think this is around 150 here. I think it was a 148. My notes are way unorganized. I should have had them out for you guys, but I want to say it was a 148 on the intake, and then we just widened this exhaust up a little bit and cleaned everything up in there. And you guys are going to see how that sucker screams, much like my Poulan 295 that you see that's going to go up against this Stihl MS 250 45 cc. So the Poulan is a 46 cc 295, and yeah, 1 cc bigger, but let me tell you, running both of those saws are damn near identical. I would have loved to seen what the timing numbers are on that saw. It's gone now. The customer already picked it up, but yeah. So I mean, this, you know, just look at the exhaust on this. I mean, way larger duration. these Poulan saws. I mean, just look how tiny that exhaust is. So widen that exhaust up. I think on one of the ones I did with these, I took like a few thousandths off the exhaust roof. You will drop a little bit of compression, but just don't take too much. Or you could just go with just widen the exhaust and opening up your intake a little bit. These Stratos are a lot trickier. A lot of people just barely get into these. But let me tell you, from what I'm watching, a lot of people are kind of scared on the intake side. I've done some pretty good modifications to this and had pretty good results. So play around with it, guys. I'm not a fan of these Strato engines. The non-Strato ones run way better. I just thought I'd put this information out on porting these chainsaws. Just get in here, widen the exhaust up, open up your intake duration, bump that up a little bit. Don't go crazy. Leave a nice textured surface on this side, and then you want to polish up the exhaust. So that's just some quick little things I've learned throughout porting. I'm trying to get on the bench here and do it more and more as I got busy. I don't even know what Stihl that is back there. I just threw it down there. Was comparing something from the other saw I was working on. But I definitely need to get back in here and get this Poulan back together for my friend, and get to doing some more projects with the porting guys, because I do enjoy doing it. I try to fit it in when I can. I'm usually tearing an engine apart a few times a week now. There's some weeks I don't. Usually once a week I'm into an engine. It's the only way to get better at this stuff, guys. Start with these Poulans and play around with them, because they're cheap. You can get them, soup them up, rebuild them. Just my advice is don't go crazy like I was. I was raising the exhaust roof every time and going way too far, and then I started gaining a little knowledge, watching other guys that are very good porters out there, and realizing, oh, yep, I'm getting a little too crazy there. I mean, I went up probably around like a 160-ish when I first started. Like, look how much I was hogging that out. Like, yeah, ruined that cylinder. Went way big. I mean, that probably pretty much matches the Stihl exhaust duration there. But yeah, that was when I first started, and we've came a long way. I've been grinding, literally grinding. But yeah, guys, so I hope this helps anybody that's thinking about, you know, getting in there and porting their first chainsaw. Go light, guys. Don't go crazy. If you got a clamshell engine, where you can't get that, you can't cut a base on this like you could these bigger saws. So these clamshells, open up widen that exhaust a little bit. You'll still gain your RPM, and that saw is going to cut a lot better. And you don't want to get too aggressive with your intake. You want to watch dropping your floor. There's a few other tricks of the trade you got to look for. I think I've already put that information in some of my older videos. There's some stuff you got to watch out for. Just keep checking yourself. Definitely have a piston on hand, and you'll be cleaning the cylinder and putting your piston in there, making sure everything's where you want it to be. You can do piston altercations too. A lot of the guys like to lighten them up. You know, I've done that. Bore down some of them imperfections. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the content. Let's show this video of the Stihl 250 versus the Poulan 295. 45cc Stihl versus a 46cc Poulan. All right, guys, there's a lot of factors we could put in for these two running against each other. I know I only did a few cuts each, and I did the two best times. Obviously, you can see that there was only an 18-inch bar on the Stihl, and then on the Poulan 295, I had the 20-inch bar. So it was definitely pulling less chain on the Stihl, and I can 100% tell you that my Poulan chain is not near as sharp as it has been here lately. I just went over it really quick. My dad's been running the snot out of it. He loves it. But I can guarantee you one thing, if I ran the stock saw, which I probably should have put in this video for a good reference, that you will see there's one heck of a difference from the stock to the ported 295. Also, something that's really neat, when revving, both the saws and how they run are very, very similar. Comparing to having my 295, my ported 295, they felt like almost, if you were to close your eyes and rev them, they felt and sounded a lot. And if you listen into the cut, they sound very, very familiar. So guys, don't be afraid to get into your saw, especially these Poulans. They have some weak timing numbers. Get in there and open them up a little bit and make some more power, guys.